last time, the Golden Rose Agency, our party, had made their way to Aura to face judgment from Lord Ainesilver, the Lord of the Auran Elves, the Elves of the Crystal Woods. Making contact with a Lord Lord Silvaris, Hans Freeguard has managed to make some friends on the inside of the Crystal City before awaiting judgment at the hands of the Lord himself. Lord Silvaris has mentioned that he has some people that might be able to help your case. He has not promised you safety, but he has promised you help. He has put his name out there for you, and a trial has begun. Being walked by the Auran Guard into some Gwindar, the Crystal Keep, and through the elegant, majestic crystal hallways of arcane majesty, purple glowing lights, large, almost impossible statues of great ancient elves, and through some magnificent golden doors into the central parliamentary chamber of some Gwindar. Hans Freeguard, Ash Cottontail, and Zaito Baror stepped forward onto a platform at the centre of a grand room. To describe this room again so you guys remember, you guys are now kind of on a central pillar overlooking a great pit which kind of just seems bottomless. On the balconies to the left and right you can see people watching, and to the left and right behind you you see a vast amount of people. The public of Aura are also invited to watch all goings on in the parliamentary chamber. Ahead of you, high on a crystal throne, head in his hands, the stately visage of Lord Ainesilver himself, a crown of crystal, a mantle of silver. It's impossible to get a read on this individual. He made some cutting remarks. Hans Freeguard, you stand before Lord Ainesilver. There is a moment of silence as the Lord's first barrage of insults echo through the chamber. The chamber seems to be designed to just cacophonate the voice of the Lord, to give an imposing presence. In his hand, by the way, a silver and crystal rod, like a scepter. Thorian makes his way behind you. You three stand in a line, hands in the center. Thorian kind of behind and left, but on that central platform. To walk so boldly, unashamedly, into some Grimdar itself. One would believe this would invite death, suicide. If I didn't know you better, I might just take that offer up. But Hans Freeguard survives, even if others don't. Judgment will go like this. You will not speak. Not yet. You'll get your time. First we will hear a rendition of events as it is known by the people of Aura, given to us by our High Seeker. There will then be a recess for you and your council to ruminate on this tale, discuss poke any holes, make any excuses. You'll then return to the chamber, where I will hear your rendition of events. There will then be a discussion amongst people. Me, you, your friends, your council, my council. And by night's fall, a decision will be made. I invite to the court. 1 second. Where's my list? High Seeker Diane Istria. You see a high elf, Orin high elf in white robe, a golden eye emblazoned on his robe, a member of the High Seekers of Pendlescape, steps forward into the balcony to the left of you guys. I must say I'm disheartened at the tale I must tell. I believe it's one that we've all heard before at this point. To see the perpetrators so close saddens me. I'm apologetic to you, my lord, that we must recount the tragic death of Ilara Ainesilver. He pulls out a scroll. The events are as follows. Lord Damson Freeguard died just past midnight. Were it not for his own son, Theodore Freeguard, witnessing the abrupt nature of his death, it may have gone unnoticed, with the people assuming that he had simply died in his sleep. On realizing that his father must have been poisoned, Theodore Freeguard had his clerics examine the body. They identified that the poison used was an exotic deadly poison derived from the ghostberry, a plant that grows only in one part of the world, the crystal woods of Aura. In the early hours of the morning, Theodore Freeguard had Ilara Ainesilver captured and arrested, as well as Hans Freeguard, his own son. Despite his warning and disapproval, Hans Freeguard had been having a secret relationship with Ilara Ainesilver of the Crystal Woods. Due to Hans's reaction and outrage, and the fact that he was the only member of the family to dine with his grandfather that day, Damson Freeguard decided that he must have been corrupted by Lady Ilara Ainesilver and had been convinced to carry out her bidding. The assassination of Damson Freeguard. Ilara was sentenced to death, and Hans was sentenced to witness the death and exiled from Boothsport. Damson Freeguard was a kind man. He was a friend of the elves in his own way. Ilara Ainesilver was fair, kind, and pure. It is then the opinion of this court that Hans Freeguard utilized the ghostberry plant in order to kill his own grandfather and to frame Lady Ainesilver, saving himself execution and dealing a heavy blow to the elven people that he was known to mistrust. The rash, devastating actions of a lordling wishing to gain the king's attention. There's a kind of can I have an insight check off all of you?
Of course you can.
Man.
10.
19.
6.
I'm paying attention.
Shocked.
Ash, through this man's babble, through the fact that he had mentioned he was disheartened, you can't help but notice almost a sense of smugness on this elf's face as he delivers this speech.
Does this bother me? Yeah, this is an
It rubs you the wrong way.
unusual way to express yourself when you've just said what you've said. Yeah.
Lord Ainesilver lifts his scepter and it glows a purple hue. There's a slight rumble as a platform begins to emerge from the pit, and into the center of the room a bridge is created out of the crystal, and the High Seeker walks along and takes his place at the side of Lord Ainesilver on a central platform. Again, the crystal sinks back into the foggy light mist of the pit. There's a look of disgust on the Lord's face. You can see a contemplation behind his eyes. There's a stunning silence. Not a single soul dares speak right now.
How is the High Seeker's face now? He's sat next to the Lord.
It's got a kind of an air.
Has it got a cool demeanor to him now?
Yeah,
he's
it's kind of like a
almost like he lost composure for a second, but
maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I've got my eye
Thank
on
you.
him.
High Seeker Istria. I am not a idiot. There are, of course, inconsistencies to any tale. Inconsistency plagues my dreams of late. I run over this tale again and again, and yet the actions of Lord Freeguard contradict. I see this human as a man of contradiction. He follows the arcane god of death, and yet carries the blade of the natural god of life. He follows the king, yet he deals with elves. He is exiled as a free man, and yet walks directly into captivity. He says he loves someone. Would he then have her killed? I feel a urgency, a sense to kill the man I see before me. Yet I feel a hand other than my own steady my blade. My daughter was no idiot either. She would not be tricked so easily. She was wise, beyond her years, beyond perhaps mine. And so, because of her, and in her memory, I bestow a chance for Lord Freeguard. You shall head to the dungeon. Not in captivity, but for a recess, to talk with Silvaris and your people. Ruminate on what has been discussed. And I implore you to convince me not to kill you. And with that he stands up, a door opens behind him, as if from nowhere, a bright white light. Gives you one last look. And he walks out of the room. Thorian stands up, looks at you. Well, that was fun. Let's think of a counter argument, shall we? If you will follow me.
Very well.
walks and leads you out. You see a couple of people. Some people are staying, almost like it's like the intermission of a macabre theatrical play. Others leave. You can't help but kind of imagine maybe they've gone to get drinks for a brief moment in the intermission. And you're led back out into the main chamber and down into a cold room, a darker room, table and chairs laid out, past multiple Oran guards, and into a smaller room, to sit down and discuss as you will what you've heard.
Well, some of it was not far off the truth. Some of it was very incorrect.
Okay. How about you start pointing out the incorrect bits and we can go over everything from there? Or at least start with the last bit of truth to that story and then work from there.
Okay. My grandfather was killed. He was...
Beginning then. Oh, okay.
He was pretty obviously murdered, and myself and Alara both arrested for this crime. And we were both sentenced to death. But my father waived my death sentence, and instead, as was mentioned, I was forced to watch. I think it was out of, I guess, fatherly love, but by that point I had lost complete faith in him. She was sentenced to hang, and the sentence was very nearly carried out. But
what happened to her then? If she didn't get executed the way that it was supposed to happen?
during this time, it was a turmoil time. There were two sides, two parts to Bootsport. One that followed the king and his ways, and my father and grandfather, and one that could see other things that were going on. Things like magic shackles that burned the casters' hands, or scrying towers being built in Bootsport itself. The king's need to control magic was being spread across the land, and some of us didn't like it, and I was becoming a little bit of a figurehead for being against that. At the execution, my friends, old as they were able to save Alara, and we very nearly managed to escape. But as we were about to get out of Bootsport, Alfin, one of my closest friends, he had betrayed me. He slayed her there.
In front of you?
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
We were rounded up, and I was banished. My mother sort of helped to usher me out. Many of my friends died that evening. The fact that I would throw Alara under the cart, it's nonsense. It's the biggest hole in their story.
Well, it's one of the reasons why Lord Ainesilver is so confused. She sounds like a very clever woman. She wouldn't have been so easily misled by anything from the sounds of it.
Never. We fought for the same thing. We were hoping to build a better future for the area completely. Better relationships between elves and humans. Maybe put a stop to some of the nonsense that the king was spewing. A lot of this I believe to have been orchestrated by the Brandmaster.
I want to focus on your grandfather's cause of death, if that's okay. Ghostberry. DM, do I know anything about Ghostberry?
Do a nature check for me, yeah.
Uh-huh. No, I don't.
You've never. It doesn't grow in the Morrow Valley. But Thorin
Has obviously
tried
said
to-
where it comes from. Well, not where it comes from, but knows where it's from.
Thorin, Ghostberry grows in the Ghostwood. It's a foul, almost necromantic fruit that, once consumed, will tempt the spirit away from a body.
Is
This
it
is the-
Convince.
is
It's
it
the first I've heard of
restricted?
it.
Is it a restricted thing here? Is it illegal to use?
Not necessarily restricted or governed. It's just a part of the forest that we know to avoid, like eating a.
Any other natural
Poisonberry.
poison berry?
It does work in a specific way.
How many humans do you think know about ghost berries? And what they do?
I wouldn't imagine many, especially even fewer from that area of the world. Unless one was willing to, or trying to cause this kind of miscommunication.
That's what I was thinking.
It's an obvious ploy.
Very.
No, carry on. Yeah, go.
What was the relationship like between your grandfather and your father? Were they on the best of terms?
My father was very for the king. My grandfather had built a good relationship with the crown, but he
Yeah, a soft spot for the elves.
was just a little bit more open-minded. I felt like I could have, with more time, maybe have gotten through to him. This was not to be the case. My father was very much the crown for completely.
Did your father
Let's-
know of the conversation you had with your grandfather that day, or was it just you two? Did anyone else know?
With the conversation?
Yeah. Apparently, you during the
You
I'm
and
not
your
quite
father
sure
had
how
a
it
dinner
was.
alone, didn't you?
Yeah.
You and your
Yeah,
grandfather.
We had eaten together, but I don't really remember. I just think that's circumstantial evidence. We ate together often.
Was there something different about this day that you can remember? Anything at all? Did he say something to you that could have been something that someone didn't want you to know?
I don't believe so.
Did anything seem off? Anything, any small detail can help in this.
Did he maybe think he knew his death was coming or something?
I was building, at the time, I was building bridges, good relationships with the Wood Elves of the Worsley Woods, and the delegation that had been sent from here, from Aurora.
That can be vouched for. We received communication back of your work.
We had good relationships being built. My father was not fond of it, but my grandfather seemed more open to it. And then he died. He died not long after the relationship between me and Alara came to light. It was more or less the same time.
When he
The
was
timing
alive,
of it all is perfect for someone to be framing.
in all fairness, I have my suspicions, but there's no room in pointing out circumstantial suggestions. But while your grandfather was alive, who was the most powerful within your family? Who had the most say? Was it your grandfather or your
Yes.
father?
Yeah,
Grandfather.
my grandfather. Yes, it was inherited lordship. So the stewardship of Booth's Port would have been passed to my father and eventually to myself.
So your father had a lot of power.
As soon as my
onto him
grandfather
as soon as your
died,
grandfather died.
immediately after, yes.
Very strange.
And at that point, it was all. That was the end of it. It all fell apart immediately. The death sentences were handed out. Elara's sentencing was enough that the elven relationships started to burn. The elves of Aura had already sent most of their delegation back, and Alara and a few others had stayed behind.
This
It's very
seems
convenient some of the people involved have disappeared.
Indeed.
this seems bigger. This seems bigger than just your grandfather and your father. This seems much bigger than that.
Glorandel Galen has disappeared. We know not where she is. Miraka Istria, unknown. As well as Leodriel Thanduis, handmaiden of Elara. 3 high elves involved in this, people who could vouch for you, have disappeared.
Everyone who stayed behind, and the ambassador had left, but the ambassador was. We were very close. We were good friends by the time she left.
Ash, could you make a intelligence check for me, please? Just a straight
Sure.
intelligence. Oh, actually, history. Let's go history.
History. Oh, 8.
No information unlocked.
Okay. I don't know if either of you two managed to catch it while we were listening to his testimony, but that High Seeker really rubbed me the wrong way.
What do we know of
Pretty
him?
douchey.
Well, it didn't just seem douchey. For a second, it almost seemed that he had a smug proudness when he was talking.
High Seeker Dian Istria has worked as the High Seeker for some 40 years now. He's always had good record. He's always been impartial but just. Personally, I can't see a reason he would have a. Oh. There is a connection.
There's a name, right? That his last name is shared by somebody on that list.
Dian Istria is cousin of Miraka Istria,
Yes.
a bodyguard of Lord Ainesilver.
He doesn't seem at all upset or worried about the disappearance of his cousin.
He is a high seeker. It is his oath to be impartial. That is their way.
Oath to be impartial, yet his first words were, "I am saddened and disappointed on your behalf, my lord."
Impartial but loyal, I suppose. Loyal, protecting of their ward, their charge, which in this case would be Lord Ainesilver.
I managed to catch a smirk on his face.
Would some see the progress that Hans would have been doing to connect the two towns or the two places together, humans and elves, as disastrous for the elves as well? I feel
Were there some elves that maybe were against this union?
Yeah,
From
exactly.
the Oran point of view, not really. A strong relationship with humans was desired at the time. However, maybe the elves of the Western Wood, the Worsley Woods, would they were quite isolationist. They had a lot of issues with. Hans can speak for them more than I can, I assume. But they had their foot in the door, you could say.
The relationship between the Wood Elves, who shared a border with the people of Bootsport, had soured a lot. It got to the point that there were trade sanctions and skirmishes every now and then even. There was essentially they were tied to their woods. They weren't allowed to leave. And eventually, High Elves of Aura, they came to mediate, to assist in mediation. That was what the delegation's role was, and it went
The
well.
Wood Elves, yes. The Wood Elves requested the mediation of Ambassador Galen, who is known to have a fondness for humans, and was, of course, half Wood Elf herself.
That sounds like the Wood Elves really wanted to make a go of it then.
Yes,
If
and
they
some
were
of us at
asking-
Boothport did too.
If they were asking for a delegation to come and help smooth things over, I don't know much about politics, but it sounds like they definitely wanted to at least try.
Yes, indeed. And it was going well. We were close.
So, I don't think we have the Wood Elves to be suspicious of. It sounded like they really wanted this to work with Boothport.
There's a knock on the door.
Oh.
1 second. Oh, I'll see this.
No, the King's brand is... It's without a doubt the King's brand.
Hans, we know that somebody in Aura has been replaced. We know for a fact. Zeit, you told us, your seeker told us,
Yes, but
that
without
somebody-
the actual person.
has been replaced but has now disappeared.
That's 5 minutes until we're recalled.
5 minutes.
I don't want to sound like I'm pointing fingers, but I don't think they have disappeared. I think they've changed face again and have moved into a much bigger position of power.
It's a dangerous accusation to make, however. You might be able to convince the Lord that it's worth investigating.
I've come across face changers in my time. My clan dealt with a face changer that nearly wiped us out. They exist, and they are violent and seek power in any way they can. Maybe we're dealing with that thing. Maybe we're dealing with a King's brand that has managed to get hold of some kind of potion that can change his face.
God, that would be disastrous.
We have not much time. I'll let you know how the next section will go.
Yeah.
Hans, you will have the duty of recounting the tale as you see it.
Okay.
Then people will be brought to question your character and any evidence you wish to submit. Now, you did mention you have a list of elven names, including Galandrel Galens. You mentioned that at my tower. You mentioned you have the Seeker's evidence.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is if it comes to light that this information came from Shadow Seeker, it may be brought to question.
Might not be the best for us.
Shadow Seekers tend not to lie about much, but they have been known to flex the truth at times.
Do we know who else was on the list of names? Did Thorian know?
It was a bunch of elves that were kind of movers and shakers. So some of them were famous artists, others were a couple politicians.
Just high power elves.
Elves with influence, yeah.
Yeah.
High elves with influence. And they were all known to come from Aura.
How many do we remember there being? There were about 10 or something like that
10,
on that list?
yeah.
And have others on that list disappeared?
All of them.
All of them are gone.
Thranduil said,
I mean, that's our number one piece of evidence, isn't it?
We've also got the bloody dress along
The
with
bloody dress, which might belong to one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Along with the
The
shackles.
shackles, yeah.
as far
yes,
as
these
I
are
can-
all things we can use. Your character itself, I believe, is not an insignificant thing to defend here. The Lord knows if he could be made to believe that your love for Ilara was genuine, or that you would not do this.
I think
there is a high stake there. There is a lot. So I will be asking both Ash and Zeit to be making statements in your case. I have some people who will help.
I think the thing that speaks biggest about Hans's character is an innocent man wouldn't walk towards his death. He'd run away from it.
But I believe that is something Lord Silvaris has, not Lord Silvaris, sorry, Lord Ainesilver has taken notice of. However, the opposition, the High Seeker, it is on him to counteract this, to find people who would not defend you. So there will be some detractors, I imagine. Our Seekers, our High Seekers, have used their gateways and have brought people here, just as I have.
Oh God.
We have access to the same.
Hans, you haven't been dishonest in the fact that you have got enemies.
Okay.
We shall see what happens.
But I'd
However,
be surprised to see as who.
do not underestimate our Lord. He is one of the most intelligent elves that has ever lived.
I will speak the truth as I know it to be, and pray that it's enough.
It is also should be known that during the speeches of anyone talking during this part of the trial, it is free to interrupt.
Oh God.
Oh,
However,
Wait,
if
I couldn't do that with the other guy.
no, that was the Lord
was an
and the
introduction.
official statement. This is where we debate. However, if the Lord does say silence, you silence.
Very well.
Other than that, nobody has the ability to silence somebody.
Am I allowed to say objection if something is
wish.
irrelevant?
Yes.
objection.
Say object away.
Very good.
Just be sure to do it at the right time.
Is there a particular way I should be addressing Lord Ainesilver, or should I bend the knee? Is there a particular decorum that might help show that I'm respectful of him?
Just make sure to call him Lord Ainesilver and humble yourself a little, I suppose. However, defend yourself. Don't be meek.
Very well.
That's what we're here for. Good. I shall make the preparations. You'll be brought out any second.
Feel more nervous
walks
than any
out.
interview I've ever had.
It's scary.
After a few moments, Orangard opens the door, slides over. Lord Freeguard and company, with me, please. And we can salute the way. His scarlet cape swishing ahead of you. Eventually, you are brought back into the parliamentary chamber. Lord Ainesilver has not arrived yet. You stand, the trifecta, on the central podium as before. Is there anything else you wish to ask me before we commence?
In order to secure, give faith that I would be here, I handed a shield over to the guards people. Have you
Yes.
been told about that?
Yes.
It's not
Yeah.
been melted down or anything.
No,
Right.
no, it's
Excellent.
it's locked away in the armory. In addition, there is the amulet, the necklace that was given.
Very well. I'll try and bring that up in my...
To say the name of the shield as well.
The doorway opens, and in walks the Lord. He takes his seat. People usher in. There's a murmuring. There's a rumbling in the audience. And the parliamentary members, and people are seated. Okay. Kind of want to.
I'm already sweating.
Lord Freeguard, you stand accused of the death of my daughter. The evidence we have is a collection of witness accounts and reports from Boothsbrook itself. This is your time to retell the experiences you saw it and point out any inconsistencies in our plot.
Thank you.
The floor's yours.
Thank you, Lord Ainesilver, and thank you for allowing me to recount the story as it actually happened, for the benefit of, I hope, all present. I would like to first put to rest inconsistencies that you have mentioned in my character. First and foremost, the one around me coming in here to my death. I have come here to ensure that you hear the true story of what happened, that you are given the opportunity to understand the context behind what happened, and to tell you that I feel the loss of Alara heavy on my heart every day. I cannot convey to you the love I held for your daughter. I would have happily died in her place. And if you take anything away from my account, I would want it to be that. First, I want to set the scene, the context. The account the High Seeker gave had some truth to it, but it was lacking in context. There was a lot going on in that time. It was a turbulent time, and I feel that it's important to understand that context. So, with that in mind, I will recap briefly the events leading up to that terrible night. The Worsley Wood elves and the people of Boothsbrook were struggling to live harmoniously in the same area, and had called upon the wisdom of the High Elves of Aura to help settle disputes, to help build bridges. A delegation was sent, and I'm sure all present here know the key members of that delegation. Among them, of course, was Alara, and the delegation was led, of course, by Ambassador Galen, who was instrumental in building great relationships between the people of Boothport, the elves of Aura, and of the Worsley Woods. Things went well, and I hope that you saw reports of just how amazing your delegation was. That happened. However, there were those in Boothport, and some, albeit not as fiercely, in the Worsley Woods, who did not believe that there should be a peace. They were happy with the status quo of hatred across the mountains, and so they made that known. These people were often followers of the king, often not wanting to see magic, not wanting to see elves or indeed any other races in the lands of Boothport, or at least to have them controlled in some way. Archaic and terrible as it is, that was the situation of the time. My relationship with the elves of the woods and with the high elves was very, very strong. I felt a belonging with those people, and that belonging centered on Alara. And eventually, we fell in love. A love that persisted for some time. A love that we kept secret, because we didn't want to unsettle or tip the scales too deeply either way cause problems where there need not be none. However, I made a mistake. I let a small circle of close friends know about this relationship. One of them was a treacherous weasel called Balthin, and he leaked the relationship. He leaked. I was like,
my headset blacked out.
he allowed it to become more widely known, and it can't be by coincidence that at the time that he leaked it, almost immediately, not long thereafter, the death of Damson Freeguard, my grandfather, who was more open to good relationships between elves and men than my father was, he was killed. Murdered, yes. Ghostbury, I cannot attest to this. I do not know the method. I do not know who killed him, although I suspect it to be people of the king's following. Arrested? Yes. Both me and Alara were arrested, and both were sentenced to death. My death sentence was waived, and as was mentioned by the High Seeker, I was instead sentenced to watch the one I loved perish. This sentence, mind you, far worse than that of death. And gladly, again, I would say, I would have taken her place. The sentence was carried out, but was, she was saved at the time. The hanging did not happen, but there was a rebellion, a street fight, as a result of her being saved. We tried to escape. The idea would be to come here and meet you under not favourable but more favourable circumstances together. But before I was able to get to you, the man I mentioned, Balthin, killed her in cold blood. I could not save her. If I could have, I would have. I promise you this. Some of my friends perished. One of them, Freya, she was the shield maiden that, the shield that I carry, that I gave as penance for me to arrive here whilst I dealt with a grave threat. That was her shield. She died for Alara, trying to protect her. Again, I would have taken her place if circumstances had led that way. I was then banished. This is the account, as I tell you now. And if you have any questions, please, I open up to your counsel.
So he kind of talks to a guard. Can we bring that shield, please? I ask you then, in your opinion, who is to blame for the death of my daughter? A man working on his own? Balthin? Is it he who then killed your father?
I know not who killed Damson.
Grandfather, sorry.
It could have been Balthin. Balthin, I believe, was under the influence of the King's brand. It is the King's brand that I suspect. I know I have evidence which will be presented today. I cannot categorically provide you with evidence that completely exonerates me and explains how and why they were responsible, but the timings, the methods, the reasoning, it all points to them. And they had recently been in Boothport, the Grand Master himself. Yeah, it was all. I believe it was them. So I know that for a fact, Balthin should lay some of the blame, for he struck the killing blow. And if I ever see him, I will exact vengeance.
Balthin. A name to remember, then.
Yes, my lord.
Then we shall begin the discussion of character and evidence. We have a vial and the reports, the poison found under Lara. We shall begin with Lord Silvaris. Take the floor. Thank you, my lord, and again, thank you for giving us this opportunity to come forth with the truth as we know it. The character of Hans Freeguard is one that is very much debated amongst these two renditions of events. Is he a plotter and a deceiver, a murderer? Is he a respected ambassador, fighter for goodness, truth, a man who can cultivate trust and friendship in a way that those would give their life for him and his cause, as he would, no doubt, give for them. I think it would be poignant to point out the things Hans Freeguard has gone on to do since these events. These things might help us reflect on my previous question as to what type of man he is, which version of the story we should lean to believe, and to support and to recount these tales. We have his friends, and we also have other leaders, politicians, people of power who can vouch for this man's character and his deeds since the tale. First, I shall bring the attention to a High Priestess Liara Moss of Varathea. And you see on the right side in the balcony, Priestess Moss looking quite pissed. Full heavy plate armor, tight grey bun, as well as a tall high elf, also dressed in the robes of Kellenborg. You don't know this person. Well, I can certainly say this is an imaginative story. I've known Hans Freeguard for a smallish time, you could say. However, I am a priestess of Kellenborg, and you should know the duty there, the heavy burden that is on my shoulders. I don't allow people into the Order of Kellenborg half-heartedly. Hans Freeguard and his compatriots worked hard to repel a evil undead threat, saving hundreds of lives. I consider myself a good judge of character, and my position should help to prove that. I chose to embrace this man, a man who I will say seemed lost on a path of vengeance, anger in his heart over his past. And solemnly he took a vow, not one to cause harm because he wanted it, but to cause harm to defend those who could not be defended, to help those in times of grieving, which I now, Hans, I can see why. Hundreds of lives, my lord. Hundreds. Some being those of my order. Repelling evil, this man does not do evil, he defends against it. I feel that. The way he can channel energy, positive energy. One does not develop these abilities because they are angry. One develops them because they are good. And that I can say is true. There's no question about it. That is a fact of nature. This man channels the positive energy of the gods. And that should be something for you to consider. The high speaker chimes in. You say he sort of quest of vengeance. Would you say this is true? There, Lord Freeguard.
I would.
A vengeance for the death of, you say, your lover?
Indeed.
I would just like to point out to the Lord that vengeance was not enacted. This path, this oath, was thrown away in light of another. I know that is a difficult thing to do, but does it not show a sense of levity?
High Seeker, what it shows is a mindset change. Away from a burning anger to deliver vengeance for me, toward a more noble quest to prevent loss being felt, the loss I have felt, to prevent that being felt by countless others. There was a tip, there was a change, and oh yes, I moved away from an oath that I had swore. I did so for what I believe are the right reasons, and more importantly for the reasons that Alara would want to remember me for.
It's heartwarming.
Thank you.
But it is you breaking an oath for something that you believe is right. Is it not?
My lord, High Seeker, I grew up. I started to remember that I remembered myself. I remember myself as I was when I was with Alara before she was taken from me, and I wanted to be that person again. And if I had to explain it to her, which is the only person I would feel that need to anyway, I think she would understand.
Very well. My lord, if I may introduce someone into the fold, Mr. Thistlewind, a captain of our guard. You see, Meister show up, captain of Fort Hammerhorn.
Oh shit.
If you would like to recount your opinion and experiences with Lord Freeguard for the court, please. Okay. Hello. I am Captain Mr. Thistleguard of Fort Hammerhorn. I am the one who came to a deal with Lord Freeguard here, so that he might return and face judgment, which he, to his honor, has done. In exchange for a sentimental trinket, as he says that, you see a guard kind of comes in with the shield. There it is. He agreed to face judgment. However, it must be said, I will recount it as I saw it. Hans Freeguard and his cohorts were captured at Fort Hammerhorn. They were traveling out of Aura. For reasons unknown and given to me, he traveled under a pseudonym as to not be caught. When he was captured that night, they broke out of Fort Hammerhorn. A member of the Oran Guard was killed that night, there in front of their cell. It is also worth noting that they were seen to escape through a Shadow Seeker portal that had appeared in the fortress. I am not here to deliberate on what that means, just simply give the facts. I don't wish to come up with my opinion. I don't believe it matters, but those are the facts as they are. Furthermore, though, it should be said that when catching up with Lord Freeguard and his friends at what was it called?
It was
Bridget.
Bridget.
He had work to do. Work we know as the Estrina Macabre attack on Castoke Bay. I will congratulate him on the defeat of that threat and on his return to Aura. And as he's saying that, the High Seeker's kind of, thank you very much.
Nice.
Captain Mistus. It is Ash, you kind of see it again, a kind of look of disgruntlement on his face there. You feel this guy's got an agenda. Like, you can feel it in your bones at this point. Hey, how about we have a bit more in-depth discussion about the attack on Castoke and the solving of that?
Before we move on, should I at least address some of the guard?
If you wish, please feel free to chime in at any point.
I would just say that, although almost led to the conclusion itself there, the urgency, the escape, and eventual deal that was all made because we were indeed chasing down the Estrina Macabre, a threat that had great urgency and immediacy to it. This was the only reason that I did not face judgment earlier, and I would have gladly have surrendered myself. And I believe that the good captain here would agree to that, if I could have. But there was a weighing up to do, and that is why decisions that were made. And I regret.
And what of the
lot.
death of the Elven Guard?
I regret.
Your Excellency, I would like to point out that we weren't the only ones to escape Fort Hammerhorn that night. Many escaped Fort Hammerhorn that night, some which were far more unsavory than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also like to point out that your guard at Fort Hammerhorn had been arresting the Needle's Point.
The Mistus kind of chimes in. This is true. We were tasked with arresting those at Needle's Point after it had come to light that they had had dealings and had released Lord Freeguard, a man who at the time was indisputably to be captured.
I would also like to mention that we did return to Needle's Point on our way back through towards Oros for Hans to face judgment, to find the Needle's Point encampment full of dead bodies. Many were slain.
Lord Ainesilver kind of chimes in, saying, Orin, elf, bodies.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks towards Mistus. Interesting.
But yes, as the guardsman has pointed out there, we reached an agreement such that immediate tasks could be completed, but the judgment that is rightly due all here present today could be met. I would like to take the opportunity as well to thank the captain for that agreement, for it has saved so many countless lives that it is not even worth thinking about.
A decision I also believe that has been made by the captain of Needles Point, and her release should be imminent. I'd just like to put that out there. Thank you. You kind of hats off. If that's everything, says Silvaris.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I should like to introduce Ash Cottontail and Zite Overall. Ash Cottontail of the Moral Valley, and Zite Overall of Varithia, traveling companions of Hans Freeguard. If you could recount your personal experience with Hans Freeguard, keep it not too but just generally your feelings, your thoughts, and your deeds, that sort of thing. Just.
Ladies first.
No, Zay, you go first. You've known him long.
I have. I guess that does make sense. Hans and I have been traveling together for a while, and I don't think in my time being alive I've met a man who shone as brightly as Hans did, or has since. He's been a light to not only me but to Ash throughout our whole journey together, and that light has kept me from going into some dark places and has taken me out of some even darker places. If you really think this man killed your daughter, then I implore you to think again, because this man, I have not seen him hurt anyone who didn't deserve it, who hasn't attacked us first, and who hasn't needed to be slain in order to save other lives. This man, in the short amount of time that we've worked together, means the world to me, and I don't think this man could do anything as horrible as what was recounted here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Zay.
Ash Cottontail.
Hans.
Know before you speak that to me, your words have a weight to them. I'm very fond of you and your kind. I find myself saddened but confused at your choice to leave your homestead and travel with this man. But I believe that you carry weight with your words.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Hans has, as Zite said, been a bright flame in dark times. He's opened eyes to there being more beyond blind hatred and revenge. He's, in his own change, he's invoked change in myself for the better. He's saved my life countless times and has even promised to help me build relationships between my own circles. He is a man of grace and of gentleness, and only ever uses his blade in retaliation. I stand by him, and I stand by his words as truth.
Very well. A question to both of you, then. Hans Freeguard has had close friends before. In his tale, they died for him. Would you do the same?
I would indeed. But I
Almost
know
how
Hans
feedback.
has... I would indeed. But I know Hans has almost laid down his life for mine as well.
Good. Very good. It's the high seeker, Ash Condale. Your role, exactly?
My role? Apologies.
Yes, your role.
Oh,
Your position, your place.
my position? Oh. I am Ash Cottontail. I am to be at the seat of Silverborough in time.
Silverborough, for the people of the court,
Silverborough is the home of the Circle of the Full Moon.
a place of tradition, you'd say.
Yes.
Your father in charge, you say.
Yes.
Does he agree with your journeys with Hans Freeguard and Zeit Oberall? Does he believe you're traditionally doing what you should be as a person of your position?
He definitely knows.
It's a simple question.
He definitely
simple question.
knows. I had a friend.
But the question was, does he agree with it?
I am of the belief that he will understand and back whatever it is that I believe is right.
Okay. Would you say Hans has encouraged your behavior?
I would say that Hans hasn't encouraged any kind of behavior from me. He has simply agreed to do what I need to do.
Okay. So he hasn't discouraged it either.
He's remained neutral on most fronts, yes. But
And
he has
Zeit Oberall, your position?
Leader of the Golden Rose Agency,
Which is, for the people of the court,
an agency that works alongside the Seekers to solve problems.
works alongside the Seekers.
Yes.
It should be stated that High Seeker, I've never heard of it.
I have documentations to prove that I do.
Maybe we could get those, please? A bridge comes out of the pit, and a silver guard comes and has his hand out. He takes it and he gives it a read. Can I have an insight check off you, Zeit?
Okay. Switch back to that inside. Natural 20, baby.
It's almost imperceivable. You can see the training here that he should be stone-faced, but there's a slight crack.
Okay.
No one would notice this, but when he reads what's on that paper,
Yeah.
there's a slightest glimpse of him shitting himself.
Oh, yes, boy. Okay. Yep.
And which seeker, if you will, gave you this information?
What information are you asking
No,
about?
the information here on this paper.
The Seeker in Barathea.
And that would be
I don't know that.
the high seeker of Alethea.
It's just the Seeker I meet at the door. I'm trying to remember where
And you don't have a name.
Yeah, I don't have
He's
a name.
never given you a name.
Trying to remember
And that door would be, if you could describe it for me.
It's been ages since I've actually looked at this eye. It's a door with an eye in it. For
Yeah,
It's a
DM.
door
yeah,
with
if
an
you were
eye
to-
in it.
Yeah.
If you're so
Oh,
you
for
meet
DM,
with-
sorry.
So you meet with a seeker
Mhm.
at a door
Mhm.
in Verithia.
Yes. In countless places throughout.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Well, I think we all know what that means. And he hands the piece of paper to somebody else.
What are you implying?
You're in dealings with the Shadow Seekers.
Perhaps, but I still help.
Okay, so, Mr. Oberor, thank you. Now, if I may call a man of political power, a man who has worked in the area for many years, I believe a career of some 40 years, which is, for humans, pretty good. A Reeve Percival Forrester. Mm-mm. You see a familiar-looking, slimy, older gentleman.
Oh no, I hate this guy.
This asshole.
Thank you
so
so much. If you could recount your dealings with Hans Freeguard and Company, and maybe a bit about yourself. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, my lord. My name is Lord Percival Forrester, Reeve of Folksweven, a town which was recently afflicted by Diestrina.
Are you the current Reeve? Sorry.
In fact, no, I am not. I was ousted from my Reevehood.
Okay. I think it's important in the chamber that we provide our true titles. That's all.
I'm still Reeve, just not of Folksweven.
Are you a Reeve at what town? What place?
Bridget, of course.
New Bridget.
Oh no.
Oh,
shit. My apologies.
So,
Reeve. Carry on.
thank you. It is of my opinion, and that is the opinion of a politician of some 40 years, a life dedicated to caring for those under my duty, that Hans Freeguard conspired to utilize the tragedy of the Strina Macabre. That in the absence of those rightfully owned land and title in Folksweven were usurped. That Hans Freeguard superseded them in their place while they were away to instill his own people that, I may say, we have documentation, paid the Golden Rose Agency money, who are now in power. I believe this is a man of the king who is making sickening plot to gain a foothold not only for himself but the king that he follows here in Penwell's Cape.
Objection. This is conspiracy.
Conspiracy is a good word. Yes.
Yes, conspiracy.
Yes.
You have no proof.
It is a conspiracy. Yes. I have documentation that the now Lord of Folksweven paid this agency money, and it also happens to have now a position of power in Folksweven, along with many other people who were not originally there.
I'm sorry, but the Reeve of Folksweven
and also, it should be noted that these people are in cahoots with a known dark magic practitioner by the name of Kostuan Fifathkorax, a fugitive of the Arcane Institute of Academia, which is an institute which I believe you, my lord, helped to build. The people they work with, they conspire with. You see the lord. Okay.
The new Reeve of Folksweven was chosen by Uriel, who is lord of that domain.
The Thorns have had little to no.
Surely he has every right to choose who is in power in his land.
He barely lives in the land. He's.
It's his land, is it not?
Tangentially.
Tangentially, maybe, but it does belong to him, and therefore he has every right to choose who is in power in that land.
And his mind may have been poisoned.
That would be like the people of the town near the Moral Vale deciding that they could rule instead of Silverborough.
As you can see, very easily worked up, my lord. Led by emotions, I'd say, a lot of them.
My lord, if I might offer some insight into this.
It kind of clicks, and the guy just is booted out of the court.
Well, on behalf of everyone here, I think. Thank you for that. This man.
He kind of. 1 second, please. History out a word. And they both leave the chamber.
Okay. Is that a good thing?
I don't know. Did I say something?
No. Yes.
You said a lot of things.
There's a lot. That man was obviously a bit shit, wasn't he?
That man has definitely been siphoning Folksweaving funds in his own pockets. I saw it for myself.
He is the worst.
The doorway opens and they return. Okay, if we can continue, please, without these outbursts, that would be good.
I apologize, Your Excellency.
Please, I'd like to remind everybody at court as to why we're here, what we're here for. I do not require a jester at this time.
My lord, if I may. I don't feel I need to say much here. For your own insight and wisdom probably is more than enough to detract from the farce that was just paraded here by the High Seeker. But that man was, in my opinion, unable to change. He was very much wanting a status quo in which he was at the top of a pyramid and everyone else was below him. The parallels I draw are similar to that of my father. He could not change or adapt to things that needed to be adapted to. And that was my biggest problem with him. Other than that...
I will say... Freeguards. I've had dealings with your family in the past. When you live to be as old as I am, and dealing with humans as often as I do, you learn that the family name is the one that's worth remembering. Your family, in the past, have been friends of the elves. I was saddened when I heard of your grandfather's death. I have met your father before, and he is an insipid man.
I agree.
Now, I had assumed that your family line had taken a turn for the worse. We shall see if that's true or not. I believe we have more people. Do we? Yes, yes, we do. Yes. Is he here yet?
Oh God.
We do have a somebody coming that will really make this very simple for you. I assure you. In the meantime, may I introduce Mayor Valiantbaum of Timberton, and let me get it here on the rota. Mrs. Brenarith Vanderwyn of Timberton. You see, Valiantbaum and Brenarith standing side by side. Brenarith kind of quietly standing Not really talking, just more looks like she's a bodyguard to the mayor at this point. The mayor dressed very elegantly in satins, greased back hair. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I have had dealings with Hans Freeguard in the past.
Okay.
He had helped. Wait, you don't have to shout. You don't have to shout. Oh, he had helped save our town. Humble as it is, we are only but on your doorstep. However, it should be mentioned that he and Zaid, hello, Zaid and of course Brunarith, had conquered evil witherwights that threatened the town on your very doorstep. A valiant effort, and had, if not, who knows? Who knows what might have happened? There's a lot of people here. So, in summary, Hans Freeguard, good.
Witherwhite's bad.
Witherwhite's bad. Witherwhite's bad. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
As they go up, I'm gonna just wave to Brynarith and just be like,
Yeah,
gives like a half wave kind of walk away.
I would have liked to have heard from her. Aw.
My lord, I have someone who can shine a whole new perspective on this whole ordeal. It'll all be put together. It's fine. Okay. My lord, can I introduce Ambassador Yggdrasil Tally of the Worsleywoods? You see a tall, kind of dark-skinned, slick-back hair, elegant-looking wood elf walk in with a cane. Slowly, dramatically, takes place by your side.
I'm gonna give a bow as well.
He kind of gives you a look. Well, if I knew this is what it took to get us all in a room together, I still wouldn't have done it. Listen, my lord, you're looking very fancy, The love this man had for your daughter was exceptional. We're all elves here, well, a lot of us. We know love with a human is a dangerous thing. Alara was known to dabble with the risky side, the danger, do what she wanted, follow her heart. We like to think it's a phase, but, it hurt to separate them. It was like you were cutting some kind of sacred bond, like you were separating gods from the earth. It was horrible, even for a second, to split them apart. It really did pull on the old heartstrings, but that's not just why I'm here to talk about that. But I was first-hand witness to that union. That risky, dangerous, stupid, very stupid, but genuine union. I can't say I agreed with it, but, who am I to judge? But I have more important stuff to talk about. I looked into this. Obviously, I looked into this. This guy's my friend. So was Alara. So was Balthin. So was Freya. They were my people for a little short, nice speck of time there. Something that doesn't come often in my life. The little capsule you have there in the report, the poison, ghostberry. I'm here to tell you that's not it. That's not the stuff. That's a plant. That's pretty obvious. Elara would never distill it. She couldn't. Number one, she couldn't stand the stuff. We all know it. You know it, I'm sure, my lord. But more importantly, this is the poison used to kill Damson Freeguard. And it matches. You know, Ghostberry has a very particular way of killing its people. It's silently in the night kind of thing. Some say it's beautiful, the way that the spirits convince you've already died. They take your soul out of your body, and if you go willingly with them, well, you're dead. But the report there also says that that's not how Damson Freeguard died. Not enough that his son would notice the death in the middle of the night, right? How would he know? This is the poison used, Lord. It's a poison known as Midnight Tear. Anybody know what that does?
Can I do a nature check?
Go for it.
Or a medicine check?
Medicine, either. Up to you.
Medicine?
The best episode of Law and Order I've ever seen.
Can I get a nat 20, please?
Midnight Tear is a famous poison. Very difficult to create. It violently kills someone 1 minute after midnight. Basically, as soon as the moon hits the peak in the sky, that person will either take a lot of damage or die. And it's a violent death.
I'll say that out loud for everybody.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you, rabbit woman. Could you, what's your name? Highseeker, whatever. Could you read the first line of your report for me? The Highseeker kind of looks. Lord Damson Freeguard died just past midnight. Were it not for... Okay, that's enough. Just past midnight, huh? Interesting. I'm here to tell you that Damson Freeguard was not killed by Elara. I'm here to tell you that that is something that somebody wanted. That blame. I can tell you that Hans Freeguard loved her to the end of his days. Look at him, he's hollow without her. It's not even like, it's no offense, but yeesh. I'm here to tell you, my lord, that you're being manipulated. That someone wants you to kill this man. Why? To ignite tension. Cause outrage. To start a battle. I want you to know that whatever decision you make, you are being manipulated. I want you to be aware of that when you make that decision. Because what's the outcome here? What are we really talking about? Who are we blaming? Are we blaming the king? Are we fighting the king? I've seen what you guys have been doing at the stave. It's not good. You're locking people out of your woods. You're closing down communications, sir. That communication is vital. It's what keeps the peace. And I believe someone's used your tragedy to stop you thinking straight. No offense. Would we agree with this?
I would like to add that I think someone may have forced this tragedy in order to make it so.
Hans?
I agree. I believe that this is all a facade, all an act to stoke hatred. And it's working.
So what else? So what else do we know, Hans? What have you got for them?
We found
Come on.
a list. A list of high elves in the chambers of a brandsman. The list I'll present now as evidence. Pass it forward.
Yeah, gets passed on.
All influential members of your society, all names I'm sure, my lord, that you recognise, for two reasons. One, their influence, and two, they are missing. What else do we know? Alara's cohort, those she travelled with, my friends, they have disappeared. The ambassador, should she not be providing testimony here today? Can she? Where is she? All of the people pertinent to the case appear to have disappeared on the High Elven end. There is most certainly a ploy here, but it was not Alara, and it was not me. I hope that is becoming very apparent to you now. Whatever you decide, and whatever is next for this kingdom, know that I am with you.
Simple question I'll ask court here and all the people present. Who killed my daughter? Who took my daughter away from me? Who do I blame? Do we have a name? Do we even have a guess?
I have a name.
Then by all means speak it.
I fear the repercussions.
Fear me.
And I have two. Grandmaster Lionel is the first, I would say. And with a heavy heart, the other would be King Amherst. For
King Amherst.
I don't believe that he would be completely innocent in this ploy.
To sign a piece of paper and to take a life. Cowardly.
I cannot give you evidence to his involvement. And I cannot only offer you circumstantial evidence to the involvement of Grandmaster Lionel, though I must tell you that I am speaking from the heart here.
Hans, we do have some evidence that would place the Brandsman in conspiracy to this, from the Seekers themselves, might I add.
Well?
Go ahead, Sight.
As you know, I work with the Seekers, and I asked for their input on the dealings that happened in Boothsport that night. They gave me some documentation, which I hold up, and I...
Actually, you gave it to the High Seeker.
High Seeker. That was...
No, you gave him his official documentation.
Oh, that was the official document.
Okay. So that was like, I work for the Seekers kind of thing.
Right. Okay, cool.
This is the documentation that was given to me by the Seekers that proves that Arya had asked the Seekers to find, capture, and replace a certain Miraca Istria, that's how you say it.
Ash and Hans, as Zai is talking, you notice the High Seeker is kind of backing
uncomfortable.
Away.
No, he's kind of taking steps back slowly.
I give you the documentation here, signed and sealed by Seekers
Guard comes
themselves.
to take it.
Is he actually trying to get away?
Seems like he's slowly.
High Seeker, are you... You're not going to disappear for this important part of the trial. It seems like you're trying to make a sly exit there?
No, not at all. I was never.
Of course, I wouldn't want you to. You're an influential person here. I wouldn't want you to miss key testimony. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Replacement of a person.
Placement of a person.
With-
A person who
importance.
gave testimony.
But it's no
The person
longer
who
available.
wrote this report. I ask, how did this report come to my hands, then? If this is true,
Should we not ask her? Lord High Seeker?
Where is she?
she disappeared. Would you believe?
Awfully convenient.
Well, not convenient. It really isn't convenient.
Also, was she right out of character? Was she not on the list of names as well?
I believe she was actually.
She was.
She
yeah,
was
okay.
indeed on the
Before
list.
I say,
Yeah.
we also want to point. Did we talked about the list, right? I just want
Yeah,
to
we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Also, coincidentally, she's on that list, which we found. Stave. It all kind of matches up, I think.
Istria. He kind of holds his scepter, and you see the door behind him just.
Sorry, I just get excited.
Istria. He points the scepter at the High Seeker, and the platform he's on just starts to move, isolating him over the chasm.
Shit.
Oh, goddamn, this is juicy.
What about the dress? Could it be identified as someone's dress?
Could be.
Istria. Points the scepter again, and you see shards of crystal start to grow
Oh.
sharp towards the High Seeker.
Your
He lifts the
Excellency,
scepter
wouldn't it
again.
be...
A hole begins to open up in the roof. Lady Cottontail. I believe the light of Loredan shall reveal what we need, if you will. Hole opens up in the ceiling.
I will be able to reveal shapeshifted forms with this, Your Highness.
I'm aware. Please.
Ash's eyes glow white. Her hands begin to glow with a white fire as a moonbeam immediately bursts through the ceiling.
The silver light of the moon blasts down onto the High Seeker. You see the sear of just the pain of the damage of the beam.
I'll
But then
roll it, I guess.
Yeah, roll damage. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
12.
But then you see the High Seeker, his shoulders loosen. In fact, all of his joints seem to dislodge for a second. He kind of loses form. His head rolls back as his head elongates. His teeth sharpen. His arms, his whole body elongates. This silver creature, this 7-foot thin, elongated creature that you've never seen anything like it. Big, oval, dark eyes. Screams in the pain of the moonlight.
Yeah.
The Lord looks down.
What is that?
History. Guards, take the changeling to the dungeon.
Shit.
The light subsides, and you see immediately, as soon as the light disappears, it changes back to the High Seeker.
I knew it.
And collapses on the podium. There was a technical malfunction on Hans's video. So to recap what had happened, Hans asked for an audience, a one-on-one audience with the Lord Ainesilver. That's pretty much. Oh, and
We got the
had his
shield
shield
back.
returned to him in dramatic fashion. It flew across the room to meet him, and there's a reunion. Hans is free. You guys exit the parliamentary chamber into the main big lobby, the one that goes up and up and up, and you can see all the bridges and different elves walking along. The two grand statues of the of Lord Ainesilver and Lyrial Polis, the god swan and leader of Pendlescape. What do you guys want to do?
Is there a tavern?
There is, yeah. You've got the whole of Aura to explore, if you wish. You also have your wood elf friend is here. If you wish to talk to them.
Oh yeah, that's a good show. Sorry, I apologize. I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
I don't think Zeit has anything planned in Aura. I know Zeit only came here to help Hans. I don't know if Ash has anything specific. I know, well, we need to go back to the other druid clan to get that guard away and see what that business is about for you. I know that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do need to... I did promise him that I would physically appear so that he knew that it was safe and we could... and the guard could be returned.
Yeah.
Sorry about. God.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We were just talking about
Yep.
the things that we needed to do in Aura. We don't have anything specific. At least Zeit doesn't. I know Ash has to deal with the clan, with the guard basically still chilling there until she turns back. But then I'm not quite sure what you need to do now that you're a free man.
Well, I get my audience, but other than that, I think we're good. I'd quite like to know what's happened to my missing elven friends. I might try and just at least try and keep us apprised of that.
I can ask my seeker to find any information for you. At least
It would be, I'd be more settled knowing what actually happened to Mirica and the other missing elves, but I don't know if anyone here will actually know the answer to that right now.
I imagine there
Well,
needs to be some kind of investigation into how they managed to get hold of another one of those things.
Does anyone know anything about that creature? Have you come
I
across
do.
them before, Ash?
Yeah.
The one that you mentioned that almost destroyed your village.
I don't know if it's the same one. I imagine it's probably not, but... yeah. No, that's what they look like. That's what they really look like. But they can be anything they want, so long as it's human. Well, not human. Humanoid.
A dangerous adversary for sure.
Well, the reason the one that was in my village did what it did was because it was found to have been trying to gain shifting powers. Because it wanted to be anything. Not just anyone.
Should we see if we can get you some time with it? Maybe it can at least lead you to your true quarry.
Maybe. I don't know if they work in conjunction with one another or if they work alone or if they're just paid by nefarious individuals to infiltrate political parties.
Do you know the name of the one that you seek?
I only know the name that it stole.
what was that?
Clover.
Clover.
Stole the name Clover.
It impersonated someone in your village. For a
Friend
long
of
time.
mine. A very long time.
Second name?
Well, my village doesn't really have second names, so to speak. We kind of have names that are just kind of burrow names, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. See if I can find any information about Clover as well.
Clover
Maybe
is
the name
Clover.
came up
Clover
anywhere
was
else.
Clover was her nickname. Her birth name was Myra.
Myra. Maybe they wanted to use that nickname for a while. If they were there in your village for some time, could maybe find out if they used it some other place. Seems like I'm finding a few people now, at least. You start
But-
getting a book and making a list of things.
Yeah,
As you
she
guys
was.
are talking, you hear like the audience start to come out and they're kind of whispering to each other and like asking, "What's that thing?" You know. And there's definitely a sense of drama and talk. You get a lot of eyes as people kind of look you up and down, hands as well. And yeah, it's a very public space.
Should we go back to the chambers of Lord Silvaris?
It would be wise.
May as well, at least while we deliberate on what's next.
I'd like to see if Lord Silvaris could potentially grant me an audience with the changeling.
Well, I'm sure that Lord Ainesilver would allow it, given how taken with your kind he seems to be.
He will know what happened. Maybe that will soften him and allow me access. Maybe
I could
can get
mention
some-
it in my audience with him.
That would be good, actually.
Okay. So what are you guys doing? Do you want to have a chat with Victorian? Or...
Yeah, I'll go and say hello to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think I've met him. Like I can't.
No,
remember.
he's
Yeah,
from
that's
the
definite-
Worsley Woods. He's
Thought so.
like one of the
I like
guys
him
from
a
the
lot,
club.
though.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Backstory character.
I like him a lot.
You see him just kind of talking with a few elves. It looks like he's kind of got a couple of wood elves with him as well. He is a wood elf, so he's kind of darker skin. His ears are much longer than you'd get on a high elf. Like they extend past his head. Black eyes.
Has
yeah.
it got black celery as well?
Yeah, completely
That's
black.
cool.
Nice.
A lot of wood elves kind of have black or white kind of full eyes. Slightly sharper teeth, a bit more kind of pixie fey like than the high elves would be, and a bit taller, a bit thinner, and they're known to be a bit more vicious and less snooty. Yeah, you walk up behind him. He's wearing quite nice kind of brown patches, brown and greens kind of, but it makes kind of a tight, almost like waistcoat. He sees you, goes,
You are a sight for sore eyes, my friend.
I was wondering where he'd show up. Excuse me, gentlemen. And they kind of walk off. I looked for you for a while. Part of me thought you headed south.
I fled northward.
Lost your tracks just past the Crucible, but I don't know.
Yes, I tried to keep off the roads for a good long while. It's good to see you, friend.
You too. Sorry it's so, formal.
We were trying to understand what had happened to the rest of Alara's party, but other than
Yeah.
the evidence that was submitted there, did you ever find out where they headed?
Well, they headed back to war, and somewhere along the line, that was it. I think somewhere in the Worsley Wastes, just north of it. Must have been intercepted. I don't know.
Terrible thing. They were one of the best people.
You know about Balthan?
What of him?
No, you don't. Yeah. He made the rank of brandsman.
Really?
Really? Thought you ought to know.
Not
That
surprising.
doesn't surprise me.
Where is he based?
anywhere and everywhere.
Good. That makes it more likely that I'll cross his path at some point.
Maybe. Hope not.
What of Boothport?
Yeah, about that. It's not doing too good. Safe to say that communication broke down after what happened. Theodore put a ban on magical folk in the town, ousted a bunch of them. A lot of them came to the woods, you know, somewhere to stay for a while. They got them working on machines. They're building these just giant labor yards where people are building metal machines. I don't know what they are.
Like ships?
What they're used for. Yeah, some ships, some other stuff. It doesn't look good. There's smokestacks all over that place. It's well, I'd say it's just not as friendly as it used to be. Looks like business is booming now.
I'm sure my father is very happy with himself.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know your ma isn't there anymore.
She's not?
No,
Where has she left?
we don't know. Maybe back south, you know. Maybe back to the capital. I doubt it. You know, she didn't really like that place, but she isn't there anymore, so.
Interesting.
Okay. I gotta head back tonight, so.
Before you go, do you know what became of Rory or Walbert?
Rory didn't make it. Hay Baler made it. A little bit worse for wear. Lost a leg. He's in the woods. Says hi.
Give him my regards.
Will do. You coming back? Now this is done?
Not
Sort
yet.
some shit out?
Not yet.
Okay. Well,
I
you
will
do what you
return.
need to do.
I will return.
Look, I think you're doing what you need to do. We'll be fine without you for now. But, you know, you made waves. Gonna miss that.
When I return, I will. It will be to restore. You know.
You've always been one for grandiose gestures, Hans. We'll see how that works out for you. He kind of looks towards you, Sight and Ash. Says, "Nice to meet you, by the way. Look after him, yeah? He's got a thick skull. It doesn't mean it's unbreakable."
Don't we know it?
Very true.
Good to
Anytime
see you,
you-
friend.
Anytime, okay? Just send word ahead and we'll make sure you get in safe.
You keep the fire warm.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Is that
I
what you
hope
mean?
this doesn't go to shit, you know?
I'll do what I can here.
Ainesilver declares war, that's it.
I hope Ainesilver can take away from this that not every human is the king.
Me too.
Well, it's a hard-learned lesson, but every human could be.
Every human could be. There's potential, of course, but not every human is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you get on with it. I'm sure you got shit to do, so
Have a
just
safe
stay
journey
safe. Right. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you. Thanks again.
Well, you've always got a friend in the Worsley Woods if you're about, so.
Thank you.
Got a friend in Barathea.
Bow out.
Alright.
Travel
See
well.
You too. Stay safe. He walks away.
This day takes a heavy toll on me.
It does. I do really hope that Lord Ainesilver does take away the lesson that he shouldn't have a grudge against all of humanity for a minority's misdeeds.
I'll see what I can do with him. Hopefully, he'll see reason. We can start to build something better.
Silvaris, you see Silvaris kind of, and he walks over your way. Well, yes, he is great to see you. You all and your friends, or just you. He'll see you
Hans,
now.
you wanted
if
to
you
speak
wish.
to him alone, didn't you?
You can come. We'll be fine.
Is it? Are
You
you
sure?
sure?
Yes. You should come.
I'll be in my tower should you need me. And congratulations again.
Thank you for your everything. We'll stop by before we head out. Do you know of anywhere we might stay tonight before we head back to Varathea?
You could stay. There's a few taverns. Depends what kind of night you want to have, really. If you're looking for somewhere posh, Drunken Spirit House, or you could head down to the Shattered Dragon and have a more eventful night. There's also Elioria's Playhouse if you're into that, but that's up to your discretion. I'll see you later.
Don't forget, I haven't forgot about our agreement. I'll read some of your scripts if you need me to. Remember?
Of course, yes. Anytime. Good. And he heads off.
Right, so no strip joint, thank you.
Fair enough.
I say tonight calls for a little bit of luxury, so I think we should go to the Drunken Spirit House. Personally,
I agree.
all under the God Rose Agency. Definitely needed to.
All expenses paid.
All
Yeah.
expenses paid night of luxury.
All right,
Let's give him
let's.
some drink tokens.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys want to talk to Lord Ainesilver?
Yeah.
Yeah. You led up a winding crystal staircase to a room which you deem to be above the parliamentary chamber, somewhere above that. And entering the room, it's surprisingly modest for a palace made of crystal. There's lots of timber, bookshelves filled with books, almost to the point that you can't see the walls are made of crystal. They're just absolutely filled with books and scrolls and maps and trinkets of small little metal compasses and spheres and orbs. It's very interesting. There is carpeted floor, which gives it a warmer feeling, as well as a fireplace behind a grand glass desk at which Lord Ainesilver sits.
class.
The light of the fireplace behind him kind of halos around him, and as it flickers, it refracts through the desk and casts all kind of dancing rainbow lights here and there, kind of randomly around the chamber.
One up for the agency. The same.
He stands as you enter.
My lord, thank you for agreeing to see us. We will not take up too much of your time.
As he kind of grasps his scepter, the glass kind of the floor kind of seems to wobble, and three chairs kind of appear.
Thank you.
Crystal chairs.
I want to keep this brief. I know you're busy. But I felt there was a piece beyond trial that I wanted to say. A little bit about myself and Alara and what we believed and what we were trying to achieve, and maybe to see if you were aligned to those thoughts. I understand why you closed your borders, and I understand why you've taken political decisions that you've taken of late. But we believed in freedom for people to communicate and trade and learn from one another and love one another. And I hope a little bit of that piece of Alara lives on within you. I know that you control this kingdom and that you manage it incredibly well for many years beyond my counting. I know that you are cautious, and I know that you should be, for there are, as we have seen already, forces that move against you, move against all free peoples. But there are also good, honest people on your borders. People that could benefit from a relationship with you, and people from whom you could take benefit yourself. So there was that.
I've seen many kings in my time. They squabble for power in the south, and they claim all the land they can see. I've seen kind kings, and I've seen mischievous kings. This one has eyes on the north, hungry, dangerous eyes, and he makes moves that affect the ongoings of this region. He manipulates quietly in the darkness. He is cunning, he is intelligent, he is abhorrently unjustified in his actions. I struggle to not take action against him.
I understand.
I'm not sure you can, no. Offense. Age is something that is a curse at times. Permanence is not something elves get very often. The only things we have are the structures that would stand the test of times and the people we have. So take my daughter from me is a loss. Cannot be quantified by someone of your lifespan. Those things that we can carry from what would be your life to another life, ancient as we are and wise too, they are the most important thing we elves have. Each other, memories, stories we carry with us. You can take anything from this place. It will be replaced in time. Structures that are burned to the ground will be rebuilt in time. You cannot return my daughter to me. But there she is again, isn't she? Just like you say.
I know.
Little worm in my ear, driving me insane. Constant, noxious complaining, insubordination, stubbornness, wisdom, an infuriating woman.
Yes.
I will not make rash actions, Freeguard. I'm wiser than that. So is my daughter. A wall will be built between us and the stave. A vast wall.
That makes
We will
sense.
create a route to the south through Timberton, as I've had meetings with the mayor. That will become our trading route. But I can't keep plastering the cracks. Eventually, the dam is going to blow. You understand?
I do.
This man makes manipulations on not just me, but everyone in the region. It's difficult now to see a place where the crystal has not been smudged by his greasy fingerprints.
If and when he moves north, he will move north into an area that he has manipulated into segregation. When he has split all of the peoples into their own pockets, maybe some of them even fighting one another, that will be when the north is ripe for him to take. It is that segregation that I want to warn you against.
You're right. I know you're right. I hate that you're right, but I know it.
I know. I also wanted to discuss Alara's amulet. For out of context, I fear that it may have given you a bad impression. But know that I sought to return it as a gesture of returning the ancient elven jewels back to their people. The amulet was very important to me, but I did feel that it should reside amongst its people. And that is why I returned it.
In retrospect, I do see that as a gesture. At the time, probably not so much. However, it was given to my daughter, Sierra, so she travels the land with that now. Keepsake, of course.
Good. As it should be.
Anything else?
Yes, there was one last piece of business that I hoped you could help us with. My friend Ash seeks one like that infiltrated the chamber today. You may have heard the tale. She is hoping for an audience with the changeling that was captured, in the hope that there may gleam some clue or some path to her own retribution.
Okay. I can allow that. But no harm must come to it. We still have questions of our own.
Of course,
my lord.
I
Good.
promise I won't touch it.
Thank you.
I feel I must apologize for my part in your struggles of late.
You do not need to apologize to me, for I may not be able to fully understand your loss, but I knew her, and I know the pain of losing her in my way.
I have a gift in hopes that we can put this whole thing to rest.
Okay.
I am aware that your title has been stripped from you.
It has.
I will return it.
Really?
The papers are already in order. As of this point, you are Lord Hans Freeguard of Aura. If you will have it.
I am overwhelmed.
Straight.
Thank you, my lord.
She would have had me call you son. You know.
I know.
And there's no deed a human could do other than that, I don't think, that would push me to make this decision. I trust in her. I trust in her. If she thought of you as the man she wanted to spend the rest of your life with, I will adhere to her judgment.
Thank you, my lord. Words cannot express my gratitude.
I wish we could have met under different circumstances.
As do I.
I still would have had reason to dislike you, but...
Many, I'm sure.
Very well. You may enter the dungeon whenever you wish, Ash.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
I will inform your father that you're safe, but do hurry home at some point.
As you know, the ritual moon is not far from now, and I will have to go home, if only to complete it.
I'm not really a religious type, as I'm sure you're aware. The Elves, we adhere more to the teachings of the arcane than the teachings of any god. We're not pious people, most of us anyway. But I feel you must be made aware that there are changes happening in the region. The arcane arts and the celestial magics fluctuating in ways that we haven't seen before. The reasons for it we don't know, but there is a chaos to the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware that people you may meet, celestial worshippers in particular, may be acting in strange ways for strange reasons we can't quite grasp yet. I fear, as a member of the dwindling population that worships the old ways, you may be at risk. There may be those of the arcane arts or the and celestial worshippers that may blame or find a way to blame your kind.
It's been very apparent, especially in parts of the coastal region where where the old ways aren't as well known anymore, that I'm unwelcome. However, Zeit and Hans have been forever at my side, and even Hans, with his own beliefs, respects mine.
Well, I wish you luck, and good luck with your interrogation.
Thank you.
We put it in a chamber, infuse the crystal with an arcane magic that keeps it revealed. Head to the dungeon when you wish to interrogate it. Just don't kill it.
You have my word.
Lord, before we go, I just wanted to say, if you ever need any help outside of Aura, the agency will help you regardless. They're friends in us now.
Very well.
We'll be
And
there.
of course, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't heard anything from my father's end, but ties with Silverborough are as strong as they've ever been, should you need help in that direction.
Your father is an old friend of mine. We haven't spoken in a while, but we've had our fun in the past.
He spoke of you. I know things have been quiet on both ends recently, but I'm sure if push came to shove, Silverborough would be at your side.
I think a point needs to be made towards His Highness. If he wishes to separate the people of the North, he'll have to try harder. I'll reopen borders. Make sure he knows we're unified.
That's what he wants. Apart we're weaker, together we're stronger.
Feel free to come and go as you like.
Thank you, my lord.
Thank you.
And you exit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're back out into the Crystal Keep. Where do you want to go?
Do you want to... Do you want to go to the dungeon now, or would you prefer to do that when we're feeling a bit fresher in the morning?
Well, maybe we could get the unpleasantness out of the way, then enjoy our evening here before we head back to Varathea.
Very well. Zeit, is that okay with you?
Anything you need.
Okay.
I'd like to get it out of the way if possible.
Very well. A second. Okay. So you guys head on out of the chamber, down the spiral staircase, and further down, deeper and deeper. The air grows cold. The natural hue of the crystal kind of changes from this vibrant purple and pinks to a colder, darker blue. Eventually you end up in the chambers underneath. Some Gwindar, this section you know, Zeit, to be kind of dangling in this gigantic pit, but the tower kind of continues down. You estimate you're somewhere, you'd be in the pit but in the tower, if you get what I mean.
Okay.
Eventually you're led by a guard through a series of tunnels, complex and samey, almost as if they're designed to disorientate anyone who doesn't really understand how to get around. And you end up in a dark room. You hear a heavy breathing coming from the other side of this door. As the guard opens it, a silver light emits from the chamber, and behind bars you see the changeling creature on all fours, its back arched, its neck kind of elongated and facing upwards like some beast on all fours. It seems to be writhing in discomfort, not so much pain, but it's not screaming for help or crying in pain, but
Like it's not
laboured.
actually used to being in its natural form almost.
Yeah.
Ash, are you happy for me to cast the Zone of Truth on this thing before you start questioning it?
I think that's actually a very good idea.
Very well. Cast Zone of Truth on the creature.
Okay. And it's a wisdom save, right?
It is Charisma 13.
Charisma. Okay, cool.
Do you know me?
No, we do not know you.
You said we, right?
We.
Kind of, one of its joints clicks and it kind of falls back a little bit and tries to reassemble itself.
Do you know of the Moral Veil?
We know of the Moral Veil.
Do you know Silverborough?
Yes.
Was it you who tried to destroy Silver Burrow?
No.
Which of you tried? There's more of you.
That thing is not one of us.
Thing? What? No, it's one of you. I know it is. I've seen it.
Not us. Not I. Not we.
Do you mean we collectively, as in all of you? Or do you mean you?
Yes.
We. Do you feel together? Oh.
Oh God, not killing it, are we?
No? I'm only asking it questions.
Kind of snaps into more of a humanoid form. Instead of being on all fours, it's kind of upright now and more kind of, it's standing, kind of its arms long reach below its kneecaps, kind of.
Who is it? And why is he not one of you? If you despise him, you'd be willing to give his name.
It is old. Older than I, older than we, older than you.
Older than me or older than my blood?
Older than your blood. Older than this rock, older than this forest. The thing is not one of us. It's not one of us.
Is this
But
an
I
old god?
I don't know. I don't know. I saw. I swear. I saw.
It changes its eyes and skin and claws.
Do you know where it may be going?
Turn this thing off and we can speak. Turn it off.
What, the zone of truth?
Kind of gestures towards the silver crystal that's kind of in there with him.
I don't have the power to turn that off. Unfortunately, it's not my place. But thank you for your honesty.
Trickster. You hunted.
I do. Why you laugh?
You chase a creature. It's incomprehensible. It can change more than more than we.
Do
If it wants something, it will claim it. Its power will grow. And there's no stopping this one little rabbit. Let it go. Let it go.
if I don't stop it, then it could consume you. It could consume it could consume all.
Yes.
Well, surely you don't want that.
No.
Have you seen it?
Nobody has ever seen it. Or have they? No one can tell.
Have you
hunt it,
heard?
You will die in the end. You will die in the end.
No.
I have nothing more for you. Leave me be.
Right. Thank you for your truthfulness. Let's go.
Follow Ash out.
Okay. As you walk out, you hear it just say, "It's not one of us. It's not one of us."
He almost seems angry that I accused it.
I don't think he thinks it's one of them.
Well, if it's not, then what are we looking for?
I was sure it was.
Something more powerful.
He says it's old. He says it's older than the world itself. Which
It'll
is
only be a
impossible.
god or a celestial of some kind.
It might be an old creature from when
History
Far-
check.
Yeah, okay.
All of us, or just Ash?
I'm just trying to
Ash.
think back to what was said by Olar when he was talking about world creation, but yeah, it's probably for the best.
Oh.
19 though.
Oh!
If your mind is traveling that way, yeah, you remember that there was a time before even the old gods walked this plane. It's from what Ola says. A time of beast and bone and blood and nothing more.
Perhaps it's something that old. Perhaps it's from before the gods even touched the earth, before the old gods were formed.
That would make it incredibly dangerous.
Yeah,
All the more reason to find it and stop it, then, I'd say.
but the changelings seem to collectively think it's not one of them. So I've been...
The Oren guards just kind of, hey, you guys wanting to head off, or you gonna ask any more questions?
It won't give us any more information. Thank you for your time. We'll leave now.
Alright, I'll walk you out.
Thank you.
And he begins to lead you down the passages.
Well, now what do I do? I'm worried.
About what?
Andrew, you're stroking the mic.
I'm worried about what it is and what it's doing.
Well,
More questions than answers, I suppose.
at least we have questions. I'd take more worry in the fact if we didn't have any questions and we still didn't know.
Yeah. It's good to know. At least now I know what it isn't, I guess.
Does whittle the list down a little bit.
It's definitely not a changeling. It's definitely not a changeling, but it doesn't have the power to turn into beasts. So I'm not sure what it is that I'm looking for. Because that's what it's trying to get. We need to be careful as well, because the ritual moon grows closer, and the ritual moon isn't just in my burrow, it's everywhere.
Ash, I have a question about shapeshifting.
Mm-hmm.
You've always essentially had the gift to change, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other druids who didn't have that ability and then were given it, when they were given it, if they'd already seen an animal before then, were they able to change into it, or did they have to see it when they had that ability?
I think so long as it had been seen, I think that's how it works. It's always, I mean, I'm obviously a different case, and so is my direct bloodline. We've always been able to transform.
Worries me a bit the fact that they want to change.
But
into
I think they could retroactively, yes, go back and search their minds for what it is they'd seen and change into it afterwards, possibly, yeah.
Well, that scares me a little bit, in the fact that if it is something from when it was just beast and bone and blood,
what it could turn into if it was that old, yeah. That does scare me. If it works that way, I don't know if it does, but I assume it does. It managed to infiltrate my burrow. Who knows how many other circles it's managed to infiltrate. Mahogany's circle was almost wiped out by it.
It was definitely the same creature.
Well, that's what I mean. She swears by it. She swears that it was the same thing.
Was there any tell to find out specifically how you figured out that they were whatever they were? Something that you did? Something that happened in order for you to see their true self?
I never really saw its true self. The reason I thought it was a changeling was simply just because the night everything happened, the fire and the dead bodies, and I found Myra's dead body, Clover's dead body, but then I saw her walking away 5 minutes later, and it was impossible to me. And Myra's body looked like it had been there a while.
What makes this even stranger is if that's what they're really after and is trying to get the power to change, why cause a fuss before they were going to get the power?
They were denied the power the night of the ritual moon.
Oh. That makes sense.
So, the upheaval out of anger. I was in the middle of my ritual when this happened. So, my ritual was unfinished.
Where'd you guys?
Yeah, we'll head over to the nice hotel
The
tavern.
Drunken Spirit House.
That's the one.
I wrote it down because I was like,
We'll walk in that direction. We'll walk in that direction while we ponder what monstrosity it is that I've witnessed at some point in my life.
Okay, sure. Can I have a perception check of you guys as you walk through Aura?
Sure.
The sun is setted now.
Oh!
11.
I saw you nearly getting a nat 20 there. You just rolled.
Yeah, but I'm a bit too distracted right now, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think we're all deep in thought as to what the hell this possibly could be. Like, not paying attention.
Okay, so walking around the city, asking around, getting directions, you kind of led up a white stone path through the crystal, trees, the almost translucent trees in this area that kind of, and now it's nighttime. You can see there's, crystals placed along the pathway that glow a kind of pale blue light, which illuminate the city. Lights kind of flutter and float in the canopy on some unseen, unknown creature kind of dancing around like fireflies, or more of a violet colour. Eventually, you find your way to the Drunken Spirit House, a stone structure overgrown with ivy. It's about 3 stories high, and it kind of almost like a pagoda kind of in structure. Ivy dangles and vines dangle. These vines again being kind of translucent, pale blues and purples. Those crystals light from below and cast kind of great shadows on the building, making it seem a bit taller than it actually is. Old oak door swings open, and within you see a quiet, comfortable inn. Tables and chairs, carpeted. It's got a very warm and inviting atmosphere. The door closes behind you. You wouldn't really think you were in Aura, the city of the Crystal Elves, anymore, but more of a halfling-esque vibe in here. Barrels make up certain tables. It's all kind of the furniture doesn't quite match, but it's all very tastefully done. It's
Hipster.
It's nice. It's a bit hipster, yeah. There is a bar. It's quite a dim inn. At the end of this room, there is a bar filled with bottles. Some of the bottles glow, and stood behind the bar a high elf, female high elf, dressed in white, very pale white hair. And as you approach, kind of a older high elf, which Hans, as you know, means we're probably talking upwards of 700, 800 years old here. As you enter, you get a few looks from people sat at tables. You kind of, what do you want to do? You approach the bar?
Yeah. We all having the usual?
I think so.
Oh.
If they have it, yeah.
What is that? Water? Sometimes you have water.
Sometimes I do have water, but I think I need something a bit stronger.
You are also not old enough that you're having.
I'll have you know that I am an adult in shifter terms.
Also 15 in our terms.
I am an
So you're
adult.
underage, I'm afraid.
I was like, let's have a wine.
I am an adult.
She's with adults, and then we're having a meal. It's fine.
You can have sparkling water, there's nothing above that.
Can I order 3 elven wines in Elvish, obviously?
Yeah.
The woman behind the bar kind of moves very softly and elegantly. She almost glides around as she pours the drinks and passes them to you.
Do you want any food or food?
No, but we'll
Is
have
anyone
3
hungry?
rooms.
We'll get some rooms.
Some rooms as well, please.
3 rooms?
Wait, are we? Yeah, 3 rooms. Yeah.
And how many nights are we staying?
Just the one.
Just one night. Do you speak Elvish, like?
Does she speak in Elvish? I thought she was.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Don't mind him. He's he's a special case.
Yeah. I do pay your wage.
It's 2
fine.
gold per
You don't
night
know what I'm
per
saying,
room.
mate.
I can guess whatever you're saying.
Don't pay your wage. He does. I mean, he
That's-
does pay my wage. But...
2 gold per night per room.
Okay. Mhm. Because I pay the woman,
And-
it's 6 gold plus the drinks.
Yeah, that's fine. It is under the company. Right?
We've paid more before.
How much are the drinks as well?
That's 3 silver.
They sell them, lovely.
And I'll have a stew.
Kitchen's closed at this time of night, I'm afraid.
Just a snack then. Get crisps.
Got cracklings.
Yeah.
Some,
You end up with
some animal jerky.
A
Lambert
cold.
spread.
No, it's like a cold meat, like a charcuterie board of
Nice.
cheeses.
Oh, you
Say
got
like
your
a
meat and
mezzo.
cheese
Yeah.
tray.
I should have ordered that anyway. That sounds good.
Meat and cheese tray with like nuts and olives and stuff.
As you hand the money over, say, you see at the palm of her hand is tattooed a purple eye. The tattoo kind of travels up her sleeve as well, like it drips down.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you say thank
Enjoy.
you in Elvish?
So thanking you.
Thanking you.
No, like, don't say that. He's pulling your legs. Seriously. I don't know Elvish, but I know that's not thank you and all.
Yeah.
So you guys sit down at table. You've
Well,
got your snacks. You've got your
perfect.
drinks. Is there anything you guys want to do in particular?
what kind of attention are we getting from the room as they stop?
It's
looking
kind
at
of
us
side eyes every now and then. People kind of discussing the ongoings. Probably,
It'll be people will have everyone will have been in that
Yeah.
gallery, so it'll
kind
just be
of
people.
talk of the town. Yeah.
Yeah.
yet? So how about that lordship that I got? That's good, isn't it? That's good for us all.
Might dispute that later.
No.
legally.
What? You
Just-
can't dispute that.
No, no,
I hope
don't-
you don't think we're gonna call you Lord Hands, right?
No, I know you will. It's. You're my friends. I don't expect that level of decorum from you in private.
And in public.
In public, you especially in aura.
You don't. I mean, I'm technically a princess. You don't see me asking everyone to call me a princess.
Well, that's on you, isn't it? You should ask
And
that.
I technically don't give a shit, so.
To be fair, I don't either.
Could be helpful. Could be
Du-
useful.
duty is a burden that I'd rather not bear. But I know
That's-
I have to.
Yeah, that's inspiring words from the people's princess there.
I mean, the people's princess is currently out chasing a weird old ancient monster, so have with that what you will.
Well, I'm glad this bit's behind me.
What are you going to do now, Hans? I know this was weighing heavy on you for quite a while.
I know that if I go back home, there'll be bloodshed and drama.
Do a little bit of drama.
I think I'd rather stop evil with you guys for a little longer, if you'll have me.
Yeah.
Having a lord on the payroll does do wonders for the publicity.
Yeah.
I thought that was my charm and decorum.
Lost that with the
Well,
hair.
I guess it's a case of.
That'll grow back. But it's already some inklings.
There's like a few tufts.
Well, I guess it's a case of head to the wolf borders in the morning so that we can release that guard from his encampment, and then
That's a good
make our
point,
way. Make our way back through Timberton now that the borders are reopened.
That'll make our journey southward to Varathea much shorter and more simple. Provided there's no more witherwites.
I thought you took care of that problem.
We
We
did.
did. We
Yeah,
smashed that problem.
the town mayor said that you guys got rid of it, so
He was very happy with us, yeah.
he was.
Be nice to see an old friend under better circumstances than a trial.
Oh,
Yeah.
the half elf girl, was that her?
It was.
Oh,
He was the
It was a lot more
member of the party
talkative.
that helped us.
Yeah. A lot more talkative in a better circumstance. well.
I'm surprised she didn't speak on your behalf, Hans.
Well, it was only a week or so. And she's probably overwhelmed by seeing me again. Things like that.
Not in this life.
You spend some time away from me and then see me again and just see how you are. You'll be
Some time away from
you'll be quaking in your little goggles there.
Away like a little holiday.
Holiday away from home.
You could sail the bay.
So, what do you guys want to do? Anything? You've got all of Aura, but it is night time. Is there anywhere in the city you'd like to go?
I might nip to the Temple of Kalimdor because I know there's one of those.
Yeah.
I'd like
to see how they're doing.
I'd like to potentially see if there's any halls of study open, just so I can try and do a little bit of research. I know Aura is a very old place. Maybe there's something I can glean on this creature, potentially, if they've got any halls of study.
I might go and see my seeker friend and ask a few questions if they'll give them me. See if they can find some people. At least start looking into it.
So, yeah, if you guys want to head out into the city and do that, you want to do that now, or do you want to spin on to the morning and do it then?
You do it in the morning before we leave, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I imagine it's quite late now. They probably won't have a lot open now.
Yeah,
it's pretty late.
I want to also probably see what they've got in some shops. See if there's anything useful for the company.
Yeah, maybe there's like some potions or some herbs or something that we can get.
Maybe some
might be
upgrades.
useful.
Cool. All right. So you guys head on up to bed. It's very elegantly dressed in clean sheets. It's nice to rest your head on. The last time you went to sleep, you were in a swamp, so this is
Absolutely the other
This
end
is
of the
an
spectrum. It's great.
nice upgrade.
Oh yeah, there's running water, like little waterfalls that run through the rooms, and you can wash your face and hands and yourself in, and
oh mate, I'm doing a full scrub down.
I've actually got some soap with me, so I'll be using that.
So you all end up with a nice, restful, long sleep.
Or I might change one of my spells actually while we're
after a very, very long, stressful day. Now we can carry on and do a little bit if you want, or we can leave it there. If you want to get some bits and bobs done around town in the next, got like 25 minutes if you want to, or we can just do it all next session. What do you guys want to do?
I don't mind. I don't mind doing it.
I don't mind doing it now, I don't mind doing it now if you want, and then we can sort of start fresh in or go into Varathea then.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds good. All right. Okay. So the day, a bright yet cold, crisp day. A layer of mist still kind of coming off of the tops of buildings and railings and lantern posts as the sun begins to touch the frost and evaporate it. Is there anything you guys wake up, head on out into the fresh air. Almost it makes your throat ache, the cold air. It bites at your nose and your ears. So if we're going with that plan, Hans and Zeit, you guys will be heading to the Spiral Ward, basically to the old graveyard. Ash, if you want to ask around, you can. If you want to give me an investigation roll, but we'll go with the guys first as they make their way.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So Hans, the first time you're seeing it, the large pit, chasm, like circular pit below some Gwindar, which kind of juts out and over it, and the Crystal Keep just kind of a large, almost reverse tower kind of extends downwards. A waterfall kind of pours off of the aqueduct and down, deep down into the pit, almost evaporating into a mist as it heads on down. You can't see the bottom of it. A path spirals downwards. Many shops are here. However, that is not what you're here for at the moment. The path kind of forks and heads back up, and behind that waterfall, a mossy hill, almost out of the light if it weren't for the bright crystals that kind of illuminate the graves. Carved into the wall of the cliff of the cave, the temple of Kellenvor. Small, nowhere near as big as the one in Folksweaven. However, just before you head there, something else catches your eye to the left. On a small hill, surrounded by crystal flowers, the grave of Ilara Ainesilver. Crystals above it shine a purple and blue hue. The stone, a whitish marble with silver inlaying wording, and surrounded by crystal flowers.
Yeah, I'll go and head over there. Okay. Give me a minute, Side.
It's fine.
It's a peaceful spot. It's a bit secluded from the rest of the graves, almost like it's overlooking them. The graveyard is sparser than most you've ever seen. The elves are long lived. It's a very peaceful, quiet place. Just the rushing of the waterfall and the light of the crystals and the crystal flowers. You can see here many tributes and flowers are placed here, a sign of a well-loved person.
What's the? Is there any writing or anything on there?
It just says Lady Ilara Ainesilver, and then a smaller writing. It's just Lady of the Crystal Keep.
Yeah, so I'll just touch it briefly and then head back to Zyte.
Are we? Am I with them or am I somewhere else?
You were up asking for.
Oh, that's
the
it.
libraries.
That's what I was doing. Yeah.
Didn't expect to see that. I don't know why. Give me a moment. I just want to check in on the temple and make sure there's nothing I can't do for the people there.
That's fine. If you want, we can meet outside, and I could just head off to where I need to go quickly.
Okay, I'll meet you back here in a few minutes.
Heading towards the temple of Kellenvor, carved into the side of the rock here. It's cold in here. The lights here a change. They are flame torches and candles. No crystals here, just fire and stone and wood. Carved into the end above the altar, the scales of Kellenvor. A lone high elf dressed in grey and white robes. The same high elf that you actually saw at the trial. She seems to stand over the altar back towards you, quiet and unmoving.
Hello?
As you say that, she kind of tilts her head and turns around. Yeah, you see, quite a striking high elf lady, kind of long, flowing, kind of blonde hair, deep eyes, kind of quite pale. You immediately read a lot of sorrow on her face. This person's seen a lot of grief.
Greetings.
Congratulations, Lord Freeguard.
Thank you. I felt in my duty as a paladin of Kalimvor to seek the temple and make sure there was nothing I couldn't do for you, or if there was any trouble you required my services.
It's very kind, although I can't say there's any trouble here.
That's good to hear. I just felt
How-
it was my duty to check.
How fare you on your duties? Taking to them well?
I think so. There is sometimes conflict within me, but I think I'm making the right decisions for the duty of Kalimvor.
It can be rough at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Death is seldom a cheery subject for people of any persuasion.
No. But I believe you're qualified for the position.
Thank you.
I don't believe anyone can lead someone to any kind of peace without having experienced the void of grief themselves.
I agree. And I have seen those that would twist death into terrible, terrible things. Things that Kalimvor stands directly against. I believe I've done my duty in stopping that kind of evil.
Fortunately, it's a useful tool for ill-doers. I
Indeed.
wish they could see just how abhorrent their magics are.
They
That's
are
not the
always
word we
too
live in.
far gone. Normally people who are power hungry. Anyway, if you've not been needing me, then I'll move on. I did have a quick question just to try and draw on your experience. I recently had dealings with something that I believe to have been a celestial. One that it may not have been a celestial. I think it was something that maybe some kind of lord of horses, Nasfadamas. Are you familiar?
I've heard the name before. Yes.
It directly involved itself with me. I think because of a curse that was bestowed upon me. But do you know anything of this creature or what it stands for?
When you say it's directly, it appeared to you?
It appeared to me, and for a brief time, I believe I was on its plane with my friend. She, you saw her, Ash Cottontail. She took the form of a horse and was also able to interact with the creature. It was massive beyond comprehension, and for a brief time we were in its plane.
You said a curse.
There was a ring that I foolishly placed on my finger. It cursed me with the ability to speak with horses, but they also hold me in contempt. There was a sacrificing that was linked, I believe. It was necessary at the time, but it's led to this interesting problem.
Rasfadamus is one of the minor great spirits of the old ways. They came in many forms, represented many things. Most faded into oblivion after the inheritance. But some cling still to this realm, loosely tethered as it were by sentiment and sense of purpose. To have it interact with you physically is quite the feat for one of these creatures. The curse must be strong, perhaps helping it corporealize. I would have it looked to by a carrion caller if you can.
Do you know of one?
There is one in Aura, yes. By the hushed waterway, I believe, the aqueduct. A tabaxi curse collector. But you have to understand, these people can be quite not worthy of trust, as it were.
I'll be cautious. At this point, I'm just looking for information.
It's worrying that a spirit of the old ways could manifest so. Doesn't happen often.
Well, it could be that Ash is some way linked to this. She has strong ties to the older ways.
Perhaps.
She was there too. She had taken the form of a horse. Maybe some combination of the two things was enough. But I'm just looking for clues as to what it wants. It seems hostile. Does it want me to remove the curse? Is it upset with the sacrifice? I don't know. I've got another person I can speak to as well. I'll summon them at some point soon. But we'll, yeah. Thank you for your guidance.
Of course.
And
Good luck.
reach out if you ever need me. I'll be in the region for a while.
Very well.
Thank you.
Farewell. She turns back around towards the altar. Zeit. You clamber your way behind the graves and stone and see a familiar purple door and one single stool.
As always. Sit down and wait. Nothing.
Takes a little time, but eventually a familiar purple glow as the eye awakens.
Your favourite voice?
Hello, Zeit?
Hello, you.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Just thought I'd come for a visit, just to see how you're doing. Not really, I just have a few questions. Firstly, there's a few things if you don't mind looking into for me. They could yield some interesting information for you to use in the future. But if you're willing to share the information to me, that'd be great. If you would.
Of course. I shall do what I can for you.
Thank you. The first thing I want to look into is a man called Balfin. He had some dealings in Bootsport with that issue I told you about yesterday. I just want to know what he's doing and what his whereabouts are, just because he seems to be a man of interest to one of my friends, and I want to know as much as I can about him to give to my friend. Seems like he had some
Brandsman Balthin Tamsin, currently in operation in Hulcher.
Hutcher.
Hulcher,
Hulcher, thank you.
a large city there. I believe he's up to no good, as per usual.
Usual? You've seen his dealings before?
I've seen his ilk before,
Ilk?
many a time.
Bad people? Or just him in person? Don't know, really.
Any other questions?
This one's pertaining a creature that could be older than the old gods. I have no name as to what this creature could be, but I know it's trouble, and I know it probably spell disaster for the world if left unchecked. They come across as a shifter, they're not. We spoke to one before and they weren't clear as to what they were. And they were very adamant that they were not one of them. I was wondering if you could find any information about that.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. Any information would be helpful. I'm also after them for a friend and I'd like to get them found.
Very well.
And one last thing. Why have you not told me your name yet?
Some information is more valuable than others, Zeit. I don't believe you've earned the credit yet.
After all these years.
After all these years.
Think I'll ever learn the name?
Probably not. I wouldn't get your hopes up, Zeit. Names are a powerful thing, after all, especially in our business.
True. Very true. What would you like me to call you then? I don't think I've ever asked that.
I'm just your seeker, Zeit. Nothing more.
Fair enough. Thank you for your time. If there's any other jobs you need me to do, feel free to just send me a letter. Or get in touch as you normally do.
See you back in Varathia, then.
I'll see you then.
The light fades.
I like that though.
I do too, but it's really annoying. I guess I'll sit back up and make my way back to the temple of Kellenborg.
Sure. We'll head over to Ash.
Mm-hmm.
How was that investigation check?
I didn't even do it yet. I was waiting until everyone else had done their thing. It wasn't great. It was 11.
Okay. Takes you a little bit of time asking around. You are directed to a few places that you may wish to go to if you're looking for information in general. There is the... Where'd it go? There's the Aura College of Arcane Arts. There is the Tower Silvaris. And the Library of Fifth Cascaraz.
I think the library sounds the best bet. I'm not really looking into arcane magic. What I'm looking for is a lot older than that. Tower Silvaris. I might check in with Silvaris before we leave and ask him the question. Mm-hmm. But for now, I'll head to the library. Okay.
You are directed out of this area of the city and towards the Hushed Waterway. A large aqueduct carrying water from somewhere off in the Crystal Woods through Aura. You can see many different pipes kind of filter the water out on its way through, being used by various households and just places. A large, like almost sandstone building, opulent with pillars. And a sloped roof, a clock in the centre, a working mechanical clock. Heading up the many stairs to a large, dark, almost like brass, like heavy door, double door. It opens to a cavernous room. This whole building seems to just be one giant room, light kind of billowing from windows on the roof that you couldn't see before. Many candles and lanterns light it in spots as rows and rows and rows of books kind of arc out on each side, two wings, a central pathway to a single desk at the very end. There are people kind of quiet and reading, walking around looking for books. Their steps on the stone floor kind of echo the odd muffled cough or sniff. You hear everything in this place. heading to the desk, as I mentioned you wish to, you see a large blue dragonborn.
Whoa.
Large, muscular, young-looking dragonborn. However, he does have two small spectacles at the end of his nose. You see he's got piles of books that he's kind of sifting through. But yeah, he's wearing a robe that kind of it really strains around the chest and the biceps, almost a bit ill-fitting, as he kind of looks at me. Yeah. How? Yeah.
Good morning.
How can I help you?
Do you have any sections on old mythology of the world? I'm talking
Mythology of the world.
pre-celestial mythology, potentially.
Yeah, we're talking inheritance stuff.
Talking pre-inheritance, potentially.
Yeah, just as come this way. He kind of steps up, and quite odd for a dragonborn, you see a large tail kind of knocks over his chair. He's oh shit. Kind of pops it back up again, and he you follow him down one of the wings. You end up a pile of old books. Slight dust on the shelving here. Doesn't seem like a lot of people has been doing much research. Yeah, we've got stuff here, but it's mythology, so don't take it all as fact, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Let me
Alright.
know if you need anything.
Thank you.
And he kind of stumps off.
Oh, there's a lot of books.
Yeah. This is where we'd have to ask for a library use check if we were playing Call of Cthulhu.
I don't have a library use.
And it'll be another investigation.
All right. Do better. Baby, 14.
14, okay. Yeah, a lot of the books seem... There's a lot of just stuff on the inheritance, but it's very... what's the word? Sensationalized. It's almost... some of it's kind of like kids' books, like with pictures, talking about the arrival of the celestial gods and how they saved the people of this world from the oppressive old gods. Stuff you've heard before, but you've never really seen the books. Not much from the counterpoint here. However, you do find a small, dusty book. Tiny writing. It's handwritten. It's loose at the spine. It's well worn. It's old. The writing's difficult to read out, but it does talk. It seems to be the ramblings of someone. Maybe not all there. However, does make reference to a land before the spirits, before the old gods.
That's probably the one. Well, not the one, but it's probably something I'll pick up and try and read.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, having a little while to read. At this point, we'll say that Hans and Zeit are probably headed back up the spiral and towards the library. As in, that's well, maybe not the library, but wherever you guys are gonna go, because you don't know where she is. However, yeah, after reading it, poor grammar, poor handwriting.
Did I write this?
It's the writing almost shaky. It's like as you're reading it, you can almost feel the excitement of the author.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff here that doesn't make much sense. However, filtering through what you take to be kind of weird rambling is a lot of just offshoots talking about random bits of magic and formations of crystals and different parts of the world and hills and mountains and Oradell, and it kind of goes off on offshoots. But you managed to find mention of the land of beast and bone, the world of fire and blood, where the hungry moon would reside over all, and the formation of a society of creatures that ruled over the diminutive races, and a kind of squabbling between those creatures, a land of chaos and blood and ruin. There seems to be a name to this land, but it's scribbled out.
I can't make it out at all.
It says the world that they call it, and it's basically like a redacted.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I think I made note of it at some point. I think I made note of it. Give me a second.
A test of the note-taking skills of the players.
I made notes. Dimera? Dimeria. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I did indeed make a note of it.
Names are
From
powerful
back when I
things worth
spoke
clinging
to
onto.
Ola.
Yeah, this world was a eternal war between beasts. Some the size of mountains would fight and tear each other to pieces, and those pieces would gain life of their own, begin to crawl around and fight other pieces of other creatures. An endless cycle of blood and violence and horror. And in amongst that were the diminutive races, the beginnings of those that would become elves and those that would become dwarfs and gnomes. It came to an end after a while with the emergence of great protector spirits. As the people cultivated the land began to come to life in a way, and the great spirits were born, and a joint connection between the diminutive races and these spirits would cultivate and help each other and defend against the chaos of Dimeria. Eventually, the fighting would come to an end, and those spirits and people would begin to live in harmony.
Yeah, what I've got written here is, I think it's not word for word what Ola said, but what I've got written here is, back before the world was known as Sulphoria, it was called Dimeria. It was ruled by beasts and monsters. Humanoids created little tribes and survived and learned to till the land and care for the nature. Made spirits stronger, and they, in turn, the humanoids worshipped those spirits. The world's spirits began to protect the humanoids from monsters in lieu of worship, until one day the Crest Mother created humans, and that ended Dimeria. With the coming of the humans, something caught the attention of astral gods, and they moved in on the world, and that created a schism between the two sides, until it turned into the inheritance.
Yeah, this doesn't go that far.
Yeah.
It just kind of ends with the creation of the great spirits and that bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that bit of information there from this book, at least I know that is fairly true from what I heard from Ola. So this book isn't just all rambling nonsense. There's definitely an air of truth to it.
You feel you could maybe you could decipher more with time.
I mean, maybe they'd let me take the book with me. Doesn't look like it sees much action. I'll go and ask if I can check the book out.
Okay. Heading over to the desk, the blue dragon was kind of
Having a nap. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Yeah. What do you need?
Do you allow for borrowing in this library?
No.
No, it's just
No.
this one's really caught my attention, and I kind of like wave the book in front of him.
Right. Well, we have plenty of tables. You can feel free to come and go. Close at 11.
Unfortunately, I have to leave Aura today.
Oh. Yeah.
Could you maybe I can come back through at some point soon. Would you be able to keep it safe?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks kind of small in his hands.
Thank you.
Puts it in the desk. Anytime.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, he's so cute. All
Guys.
right, I'll make my way out of the library, dusting myself off as I
Yep.
do.
Okay. We'll say you guys end up meeting up at the tower of Silvaris, as you kind of all said you wanted to head up there at some point. And we'll probably end it there.
Yeah.
With a discussion with Silvaris before you head out into the wide world again. So yeah, congratulations on getting through the trial.
Oh, it was scary.
Thanks for watching if you're watching. Yeah, that's that. Bye bye.
Bye bye.